Maine Signature Real Estate Group. How are you guys doing today?
Wonderful.
Make it really loud so the people at home are jealous that they're not here. Go. There it is. Don't be jealous, people at home. You have an opportunity to come in here next week. All right, we've got a great meeting planned for you today. A couple of things I want to touch on real quick. I'm going to have Sherry KK talk about our breast cancer. What does booze have to do with breast? Hold, please.
Never mind, booze is okay. So good morning, everybody, especially out there. Today and every office meeting up until the last week of October, we will be doing this booze raffle. You buy a line for $1, and then if you get picked, you get the booze. And you already announced what we have, right? We have a dessert wine, we have a beautiful bottle of Chardonnay, my fave, and a bottle of Crown Royal. Okay, it's $1 a ticket. This is for American Cancer Society Making Strides Breast Cancer Walk. The walk is on October 30th. If you'd like to join the walk, you can send me your phone number and I'll send you the link to sign up. Also, for those home folks, I do Venmo, and my name is Sherry Killian Kuzmanovich. You look that up. Good luck. But my phone number.
It's so much easier.
Yeah. Phone number is 702-338-4174. You guys can text me and say, yes, I want to sign up, and I'll forward the link to you. Okay, so what else? Is that it?
Yeah.
So $1 raffle ticket, booze for boobies.
Booze for boobies.
Yep, make that happen. Every week we're going to be doing this. So bring your cash, be ready with your Venmo, whatever you need. All right. Gabby, Prosperity Lending, come on up. Everybody who comes to speak has to talk about booze for boobies, by the way, so. Booze?
So I just wanted to talk to you guys about the Home is Possible. I know we've talked about this subject multiple times, but as most of you know, we have two options. One of them is for the first-time home buyers, and then we have the teachers as well. Well, if you go down to their website, there is a HUD-approved targeted area. So with the first-time home buyer, you guys are limited on the income. You can only make $84,600. With this one, you can go up to $101,520. So you're still going to use the same FHA, VA, USDA. It's still going to be either 2% at 5.25%, or you can do a 4% grant at 5.625. The difference with this one is you're only limited to certain areas. So it is around the valley, but you do have to provide us an address. We'll look at it for you and we'll let you know if it's in that area. So it's not going to be all over Vegas, it's just specific areas. Any questions? All right, well, if you guys do have any questions later on, just please reach out to somebody at Prosperity Lending. Thanks, guys.
All right, needs and wants and needs.
Ooh, I have one.
Ooh, come over.
Barbara, I have one for you.
He's the wrong man in Searchlight.
Yeah. Okay, so I have this listing that is worse than the thing that Adam went through with his condo, but I have a property out in Pahrump. It has a 1,900 square foot house. The house is amazing. Like, if you were gonna build a house, this is the house you would have built, right? It's on 17 acres, 12 acres of water rights that go with it. It has a commercial well. You can grow anything you want. Seriously, you think of it, you can grow it. I just reduced the price $150,000 to $849,900.
Wow.
It's in Pahrump, but it's on the outskirts of Pahrump, so close to Las Vegas, it's only 38 minutes instead of 40. So you guys are gonna love it.
Can you explain the difference between a commercial well and a private well?
Bigger pump.
You still privately run it though and take care of it?
You can use it to actually farm crops. So it was built to be a grow facility. Grow what? Anything you want. But they were going to put these hydroponic containers out there so that they could grow pot. It was approved for a pot grow facility. And believe it or not, the place that was going to do it went up in flames.
So Chris,
Does it still have the license or whatever it is to be a pot
It was
farm?
approved, but the license went with the company that's gone, and so you could go get
So
it reapproved.
So it doesn't run with the land, you have to.
Each business has to get it done, but it's already been approved, and that's the bad. Could you buy that business?
Okay, I don't have any land, I don't have anything for sale. But I had an interview with the National Reporter this morning, and he is looking for a real person, especially a first-time home buyer, who has either dropped out of a purchase and remains frustrated with the buying process despite the market cooling. So if anyone has a frustrated first-time home buyer that would like to talk to a national reporter for an article, please let me know. I told him I'd ask.
Well, we won't tell if there are buyers, but we'll tell if there's somebody else's buyers that we got. Right? Because if you have a buyer that's frustrated with the process, you're the problem.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Still lots of properties that could be
Upset with interest rates, or it could be a lot of different issues.
Okay.
They just want to talk to somebody that's in the process that it didn't go smooth maybe,
Cool.
and not because of you.
Perfect. There you go. There's the clarification. Hold please.
I've got a few listings here. I've got one, 2.45 million. I am standing. My own short joke. I'm reading. I have a 2.45 million, 5,654 square feet, 5-bedroom, 5-bath in Southern Highlands Country Club, guard gated. I've got a 1 acre property way out in the northwest. It's kind of old, needs a little work, but it's a beautiful house with its own well. Sorry. And I've got property out in Henderson off of Boulder Highway, 2-story, 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom, 3-bath for $365. I think I'm one more, I can't remember.
How much is the one in the northwest?
Northwest is $750. And it's got a guest house on it.
How big the lot?
It's a full acre.
Anyone?
Okay, so I've got a few for you guys. One that I think should have been gone already is, it's like those D.R. Horton little townhomes. It's, you know, the 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage. So it sits over the garages, and it's for $290, and it looks great, but she started too high. So now it's one of these situations to where now she's finally where she needs to be. So that's right off of 95 in Wagon Wheel. So there's that one. Then I've got this other guy that was doing his own fixer-upper forever, and so now he's going to put a little bit of money into it, and it's a 1-story, about 1,300 square feet in 95 and it's Whitney Ranch. So 1 story. So check that one out.
Anyone else?
Okay. Moving on. All right, guys. So today, put these on because I can't read anything without them. We actually have, Dana, give me your last name. Gray. Dana Gray is here as the Senior Director of Sales at Front Point, and her focus is on growth, customer growth strategies, and business partnerships. And I thought it'd be really cool to have her come in and have a conversation with you guys about some of the systems that they offer at Front Point. So with that, give a warm signature welcome to Dana Gray.
Wants and needs, I need some booze, I need no.
There you go.
That's near and dear to me. I will definitely buy my raffle tickets. But I have to say, well, first of all, thank you for all for having me here. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of so many people. I did not know it was this big of a venue, but I'm so glad I'm able to come out and share what our company can offer and how we can partner with Signature Real Estate Group for your customers that are signing for having security in the new homes that they're in, or if they want to protect the areas they're in because they're not familiar with it. So literally I'm just going to kind of go over some of the things that we offer as a DIY security home system company. Go to the next slide. So I'm going to explain what Front Point, how we actually got started, how we pioneered into the DIY security system company. We'll talk about why Front Point. Why would you use Front Point over like the other 4-letter words like Ring and ADT? What our products and services that we offer, and then our collaboration with you. what that would look like for your customers. We want to be able to pass those savings over to your customers as you're closing the deals and give them more things as being an associate with you. And then we'll have some Q&A if you have any questions about our services and things that we offer. So in introduction, we are the early pioneers in growing the segment of home security industry. We launched our DIY security services in 2007. We're easy to install, we're high quality, and we're easy to use with our pre-configured systems. We literally set up everything for the customers before it comes out to them. So we're able to pass the savings on to them versus having another person into your home to try to install something that is easy as putting a matting on your refrigerator. We are the superior security solution. We have sophisticated hardware, video analytics, control, all on one sync lab, which is very easy, especially in this day and age. We have state-of-the-art 24/7 security monitoring, and we also have two-way monitoring. So you actually can have cameras in your home speak to the people in your home or your animals or your children, like do your homework, and they actually can speak back. So you have total control over that. We're highly rated by a lot of third parties, such as Trustpilot. We have a 4.5% star rating on Trustpilot, and we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. So we make sure that all our homeowners feel safe and secure. We have over 100,000 homeowners with a 700 credit score or higher, and they have an average stay with us of 7 years. We are 100% transferable. So even if they move into another home or they want to have more security, they don't like to watch their parents or their children, all the equipment that we have is very transferable. You don't have to drill. There's no, plugs and wires you have to turn into. It's literally easy for us to send the package out to their customers wherever they are in the country. So we are nationwide. Why FrontPoint? FrontPoint is the nation's top-rated smart home security solution. We are the top-rated. We are in the top 3 for DIY. So we're trying to broaden our horizons as the conversations we've been having with Signature. These are some of the reviews that we got from Trustpilot, from customers who really want to do it themselves and not have another person into their home drilling holes everywhere. Go to the next slide. Yeah. Our product offerings. We have double encryption and reinforced backups. So if you're thinking about it, if you try to come cut wires, not going to work. We really make sure that we have every surface of the home covered. Our home security is fully integrated, it's automated, and it's built to work together. So it's a new way of looking at smart home security. We have a 24-hour battery backup, so if there's power outages, blackouts, anybody doing any shenanigans, we have it covered. We actually have a customizable feature that my team that I manage handles. We make sure that we talk about square footage, we talk about how much the dark side of your house needs to be covered, the lighter part of your house needs to be covered, and we have a live interaction with actual people. So it's not, you're going onto Amazon and purchasing a security home system and hoping for the best. We literally have people who will walk you through every step. We have 24/7 monitoring to all the first responders, fire department, police department, ambulance, whatever you need. That it's always available. And we have an automated system check every 60 minutes. Every 60 minutes we're making sure that there's no issues with the connection between you and our first responders. Exclusive to FrontPoint. Works right out the box. That's so simple, right? As soon as you get it to your house, you plug it up and you apply onto the app and you're done. It's a pretty simple process. We have a split design, so if the keypad is destroyed, if someone takes a hammer to the keypad, we still have connections to make sure that everything is secure for the home. We have next generation encryption, communication and security features. We have a cellular connection. So again, if there's a power outage, you're still able to use your cell phone. It's the same way with the security system. We have built-in Wi-Fi and Z-Wave radios, and we have zoned security. So you can keep certain parts of your home secure while you're in other parts of the home, which works out well for the elderly, or if you have multiple levels of your home that you just want to keep secure. This is what our system architecture looks like. Pretty much everything goes into the hub. And if we need to reach out to any of the first responders, we'll do that. We also have a new feature that is not listed here, that we will also let first responders know if you have animals in your home. So we need to make sure that they need to get safe or secure if a fire or something else happens. We have that listed to let them know that there's animals in the home. Because a lot of people's animals are like their family, so we want to make them aware. And everything is handled right there from the app. So you have access to your lights, to turning on alarms, turning off alarms, locking your doors. All of that is available through your app. So as soon as you log into that app and download it, you have all that accessibility to your home. The setup is very easy. Once you log into the app, it's literally 5 steps to get activated. So it's pretty simple. But just in case you get that customer who's just like not tech savvy, we do have live customer support representatives ready to walk them through any step or process. That's one of the things that keeps us competitive, because we have live people that you can talk to help you walk you through whatever situation you come across once your package, your customized package comes to your door. We have several different features. Some of our biggest ones now are the Wi-Fi doorbell camera. That's great for packages whenever they get delivered, when you want to avoid porch pirates or anything like that. We know that's growing a lot in this country. But the Wi-Fi doorbell really helps with that, because you can have it focused on whatever area it has, and you can also get an alert whenever it's been delivered. So not only would you have a backup from wherever your delivery service is coming from, you also have the camera that records what happens with it. We have the interactive doorbell camera, where it's a two-way video, the one I spoke to you about. You literally can speak to the person who's delivering the package that you're delivering and say, oh, can you keep it right there on the porch and I'll come back and get it. They don't even know that you're not at home. So you literally can have those conversations. We have smart locks. And just in case you forget to lock your door, or did I lock the door, or did I lock the garage, you literally can go onto the app and make sure that your door gets locked. So we have innovated the smart way of being able to handle the security of your home. And of course the lights. If you pull up into a dark driveway or a dark alley, you can literally turn the lights on from your cell phone without even getting out the car. So it makes it a lot more secure especially for customers that are moving into a new neighborhood or into a new home. Then we have endless control and customizations. You can actually control when your alarm system is armed, when it's not armed, when you have your kids coming home from school, when you have maid services coming, when you have the dog walker come in. You can literally control when certain codes can actually be activated throughout the day, throughout the week. That's how smart the technology is. Then our offers for signature. The first thing you'll get is 30% off of the products. So that's an unlimited amount of products. If you have the square footage that needs more sensors or more door cameras or inside cameras, those are all 30% off based on being a Signature Real Estate Group client. 1 month of free service with service agreements. They'll also get 1 free indoor camera. And then they have direct connection to our security expert team, which is the team I manage, to walk them through any steps or any questions that they may have during the initial setup. And then, of course, you'll have an exclusive promotion code that's only available for Signature Real Estate Group clients. So that promo code is in the process of being made. I also am getting a 800 number developed specifically for all your clients that you have coming in, so we can have inserts created, and they can reach out to us, and we'll be able to track the success of the customers being in the forefront of FrontPoint. So we have all those things available, which, again, we can discuss even further if we want to create some incentives with it, but we are passing the savings on to your clients to make sure that they feel secure coming into their new home. So once again, I'm Dana Gray. I'm the Senior Director of Sales for FrontPoint. That is my email address. So if you ever want to reach out or have any questions about anything, if your customers have any questions about anything, please feel free to reach out to me. And I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has. I'm that thorough? Is that what you're saying to me?
I was pretty thorough. I have a question for you. I do.
Yes.
How much is your doorbell?
How much
If
is,
I was to say, hey, I want to gift a doorbell to a client as a closing gift, and then they can do the rest with you.
well, the doorbell, we
Who
have,
said that?
Would that be like giving your
Say
client a
that.
ring?
That was a really good idea.
Thank you. What?
Would that be like giving your client a ring?
Yeah.
yes, you can, that would include the monitoring, the 24/7 monitoring, so they would set up for it. So if they do sign up, they will get a free indoor camera. The doorbell camera runs anywhere from $199 to $249, depending on if you want the Wi-Fi or the,
So you can package a couple gifts for your client.
you totally can. You can customize it to whatever.
Sweet.
The only thing with our products is that you have to be signed up as a customer on our 1, 2, or 3-year contracts or service agreements, however you want to call it. And you can customize whatever you want to give them as a gift, other than the gifts that we're already providing for them.
I mean, those are technically our gifts to them too.
Yes, totally.
2 questions for you. One,
Yes.
How much is your monthly?
It ranges anywhere from $49 to $39 a month.
And you buy the whole system from you, obviously financeable?
Yes. They can finance, they can pay it outright, they can do monthly. We have a company that we use to help them finance. They want to get a bigger package. We have packages available for the smaller homes, for the bigger homes.
What's your average cost of a 2,000 square foot 3-bedroom home?
2,000 square foot, 3-bedroom home. It's about, you know, monthly.
The whole cost of it?
The package, it will depend on what comes in our packages is normally 2 monitors, sensors or door sensors, 1 camera, and the paneling and the hub. So all that is about $249. So with what's coming from you, that's 30% off of that plus the free indoor camera. Yes.
Now's your chance to sell.
Oh,
Because the system I have, I won't say what it is, by the time my camera opens, just so I see who's out there,
Mhm.
I don't know if it's my internet or if it's their system, I don't know, but they're gone, or I'm already at the door, or, you
Why is
know.
that one?
It's a very slow system, so can you, it's delayed.
Usually, if it's that type of a delay, it's usually the speed of your Wi-Fi, but we do have radio connections for us, so we have the 4G radio connections that we have for each of your monitors. So as fast as your Wi-Fi is in the area that you're in when you're using your PC, is as fast as you'll get with the cameras. So you're usually pretty direct, though. And if you have live interaction, it's happening right then.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So if you bought the product, you just installed the product, but you didn't want to pay the monthly fee, just so that way you don't care if somebody comes in or out, but you want these to still go off.
Mhm.
Somebody opens it up.
You want to self-monitor.
Right.
We do have the option for self-monitoring. We don't recommend it because it's not a direct connection into the first responders. That's kind of the 4 little words, claim to fame. But that's not necessarily how we handle it because we want to make sure that, you know, if you're trying to secure your parents, if you're trying to secure your children, if you're trying to secure your home or whatever is value to you, you want to make sure that you have the right connections with the right people to make sure it happens.
You do have
have a package?
We do have packages that are self-monitoring, and that to monitor that on your own is, I want to say $34.99 per month. But if you just want to buy the equipment, you absolutely can do that. We just don't recommend it. Good questions.
Sweet.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Dana.Gray, Gray, @touchpoint.com. All right, sweet. All right. This is one of my favorite parts of the meeting. We're going to give away booth. Just kidding. Mr. David Sanders. It's been a long time. It's been a very long time. David Sanders, our legal counsel, is here to tell you how to stay out of trouble. I did that last week, and now you're going to correct me. No, you're not. No, but Chris,
Yes.
we're going to have you do a fireside chat with David, because him and I just argue up
It's
here.
105 outside, I love fire.
Come on over, Dave.
Here, give me that one. All right, so the nice part about having Dave here, don't put yourself in the light, makes me a little bigger on camera, is we have a great legal resource. And if you guys don't know Dave Sanders, he was the attorney for Las Vegas Realtors for quite a few years.
7.
We started on the board with him, and the nice part is a lot of our contracts he helped write and create. He's still highly involved in the crazy things that we do on the Forums Committee down at Las Vegas Realtors. So, Dave, I'm going to let you start off. You have a few topics you want to share, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. The first one I wanted to talk about a little bit was, I get a lot of questions about, as a realtor, should you be an LLC, should you be a corporation, S Corp, C Corp? So I thought I'd kind of go through the pros and cons of each for you individually as an agent, and then also to talk about a few pitfalls for some of your clients if they're investors and they're looking to incorporate in Nevada. So the two major vehicles that you can have is either a corporation or with an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation. I prefer an LLC for realtors for a couple of reasons. One, the cost to file it with the Secretary of State is significantly less, has the same amount of protection versus a corporation, and then you can have that ability to protect yourself, because the way it works in Nevada is if you have an LLC or a corporation, the liability for your business stops and ends with your business. If you don't have an LLC, say you're a sole proprietor, and you get into a car accident or you get sued by a client, they can potentially come and take your house, take your car.
I just want to clarify something you said. So if I decide to become an LLC, like my license actually is an LLC, I have to transfer my real estate license from me as Christopher C. Bishop. I don't know why I put Christopher on my license. I should have just done Chris, but whatever. Christopher C. Bishop, I had to transfer it to Christopher C. Bishop LLC, and my LLC had to match exactly the way my name was written on my license.
Yeah, that's a real estate division requirement. If we were not in real estate, you could call your company Happy Penguins LLC if that's what you wanted to do. That's a requirement for realtors. So if whatever is on your license is what your LLC has to be. Now, if you've already registered as a sole proprietor and you want to then create an LLC, there's a separate form that has to be notarized, but that's a real estate division requirement. If you are a serial entrepreneur and you have other business entities or business activities, I would recommend, normally, I would tell you that Nevada has no rule about whether or not, some states require you to close your LLC down if you change your business. Nevada doesn't. However, with the way that the real estate division believes that they can interview, look at documents, and have investigatory power over your business, if you are, have a t-shirt business or an IT business or something else, I would recommend you do a separate LLC, just so that the real estate division doesn't have to get involved and you have to make that explanation.
So just to go more on that. So when I got mine, Dave actually did it. I had gotten one of those home LLC kits, and it was really nice to have that book, but I couldn't fill out the paperwork. So I hired Dave, and he put together my LLC, which was really easy. It only took about 2 days. He put together the corporate docs, the whole piece. I went and transferred my license, so I got everyone to sign off on that. And then the interesting part is I had to carry a business license for my LLC, but now that my license was in my LLC's name, that company now carries all of my required licensure, my state business license and my city business license. And so I'm just saying this because I've had 2 agents come up to me recently that told me that they created an LLC on their own and they called it, Jenny's Real Estate Business LLC, and technically that's not compliant with division, and so they could get in a lot of trouble for that. A lot of times you mentioned the word liability, getting out of liability, waiving liability. So the idea would be if I was in a transaction and I got sued in the transaction, my liability could sue for my LLC and not my personal assets, but I can't waive my disciplinary on my license. Does that make sense? So no matter what happened, Christopher C. Bishop is still the one running the LLC and the issues, but instead of them going after everything I own, I just have this LLC that they would go after. God forbid that ever happens, that's not what we're looking for, but that's the point you're trying to make.
Exactly. And then there's also tax benefits, depending on how you, which we'll talk about in a minute, depending on how you run your business, to have an LLC.
You're talking about my lunches?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So years ago, someone that I really respected their opinion told me that if you make less than $100,000 a year, it's probably not worth the expense of setting up your LLC.
That would be a question of like accounting purposes.
That's a lawyer answer right there.
For liability purposes, just because you make less than 100 grand is not going to stop somebody from being able to sue you individually, go after your house, go after your car, those types of things. So you're right that from an accounting point of view, there might be a number that it's not worth it. I would tell you, as a realtor, you have to have a state business license. So when you file for an LLC, it's $425, 300 of which is your business license. So you are going to be paying $300 to the state of Nevada no matter what, sole proprietor, LLC, corporation. So, and you have to have that state license to get your local business license. And I know that at least when I was there at LVR, if you wanted to join the realtors, they asked for that. So you're going to have to pay some of it. Now, admittedly, about 8 or 9 years ago, the Secretary of State made that process a lot easier, incorporated the state business license and really streamlined that process. So you're going to have to do it one way or another. You either have to be a sole proprietor or some kind of corporation with the state. And so we're really only talking about $125. And
so 3 years ago, I think it was the state association's attorney put out an article where they got an accountant and they looked at the new tax guidelines that had come out 3 years ago and some of these new tax loopholes. And again, I'm not an accountant or an attorney. And they said the threshold that made financial sense was $35,000 in income. Now, in 2010, $35,000 was 25 homes. Now it's 2, right? So that's a big difference. So that is the taxable income difference that they could save. And they put out a whole white paper about the money that you would put aside and the way that it would help you financially. But I can understand the same idea.
Also, this is a good transition to talk about S Corp versus C Corp status. So these are kind of terms that are often misunderstood. So when you create a corporation, you do it through Nevada. It's Silver Flume is the website for the Nevada Secretary of State.
Why is it called Silver Flume?
I have no idea.
We're the Silver State. We're the Silver State.
Yeah, but Silver Flume? Because everything else was taken.
Could be.
Sorry.
All I know is right after they changed the name and they changed the website was down for about like 3 months where you couldn't do anything. So let's not get me started on Silver Flume. We'll be here all day. So you create your entity, whatever it is. Now, one of the things that you can't do as a sole proprietor is you can't go and elect what's called S Corp versus C Corp status. That is a tax issue that has everything to do with how you want taxes done. For example, S Corp is designed for small business people like realtors who occasionally will have to dip into their own personal funds for business expenses. You can elect S Corp status once a year. If you have your corporation and you haven't done it, you'll have to give the IRS an explanation. It's a one-page form. It's not difficult at all. You do not necessarily need an attorney or an accountant to help you do that, but if you haven't created your LLC already, this should be part of what you're doing next. So an S Corp allows you to take all of your business expenses for your real estate business and then write them off your individual tax return and only file one tax return. You can elect that every year. There are pros and cons to that. C Corp means that you're going to be treated as a separate corporate entity and you'll be filing a separate tax return. For example, one of the big reasons why you would want to go with a C Corp is if you have investors. You can't be an S Corp status and have investors. You have to be a C Corp. But it all has to do with taxes. So what I would tell you is if you aren't sure if you're a C Corp or an S Corp, that you speak to your accountant and find out what's the best status for you, because it's all going to be based on your income, your personal tax situation, and all that kind of fun stuff.
We have a question online on the screen.
It says I have a business license for accounting and I can make it a series LLC and have my real estate license as a series under the blanket LLC.
Okay, so let's talk about what a series LLC is. And then I can answer her question, and then I can give you the pros and cons of a series LLC. So a series LLC is a relatively new concept. It's not recognized in all states, but it is recognized in Nevada. And so essentially what it is you create a parent LLC. And then under that, you can create children LLCs, if you will. For example, say I own 5 pieces of property. I would have my parent LLC, and then I put the property in each one to limit liability. So you kind of silo the liability, keep them separate. The reason you use it the most in real estate is, again, if you have a client who has a lot of investment properties, for liability purposes, we want to keep those separate, particularly if you're renting them out. We don't want, if there's a slip and fall or an accident at the home, we want the liability for that property to stay with that property and not be able to extend out to the other 4 or 5 properties that I own. Does that make sense? The upside about a series LLC is you only have to file once with the Nevada Secretary of State. So you file, you pay your annual fees, you pay the $425 to create it, and you don't have to make those individual payments when you create another LLC under the parent. You will need a separate operating agreement for each one, and you will need a separate EIN with the Internal Revenue Service. That can get a little tricky because the IRS's EIN website doesn't necessarily recognize series LLCs as a choice, so you might want to get either an accountant or an attorney to help you do that. You would also want to make sure that you have an operating agreement. When you create an LLC or a corporation through Silverflume, they will do the articles of incorporation for you, so you exist. Then you need to have an agreement that says, this is how we run the business. These are the things that we do, here are our officers, that kind of thing. That is not included if you do it yourself with the Secretary of State. So you either need to find a form, hire an attorney. That's if somebody says, well, Dave, why would I hire you to do this when I can do it myself? So you can, but I will prepare the operating agreement for you, which you will need. And you'll need an operating agreement. I have the paperwork. Certain banks require certain paperwork to open a bank account. So we've got standard forms for that, those kinds of things. So series LLCs are great for people who want to have investment or run separate businesses. There are pros and cons to them. The biggest con for a series LLC is they are not recognized in every state. I have a very wealthy client out of California who owns 10 to 15 pieces of property. We do separate LLCs because series LLCs are not recognized in California. No judge has ruled on them. There's no law behind it. And we did not want to take the risk of California coming out saying, we don't recognize this.
So Dave helped a good client of mine who traded for a bunch of brand new homes. And so he created a series LLC for their family and created a parent company, which they're all part of. And then each individual property, there's 10 of them, he created separate LLCs for each one of those. And we had to deed the properties into those LLCs as we went along the process. And so they have an accountant that takes care of the books for each one of those that we manage the property for, and it made it a very effective process. And the other thing is, each one of those properties has its own insurance policy, and so if something were to happen, God forbid, and that's when all, hell breaks loose. If something were to happen, only that LLC will be affected, and that's the reason why this is such a great idea for your investors. Now, if you only had 2 properties and you're doing this on the side, would you want to go through all the paperwork? Probably not. But if you're going to have a larger investor that's going to go through this process, it's a great way to set it up and makes it very effective financially.
Yeah. You also just have to be careful, and when you're recommending, the types of, entities that could create. For example, if you've got Canadian investors, Canada does not recognize the limited liability company, period. And so what happens if you go and speak to a regular attorney who isn't familiar with foreign investment in real estate in the United States, they'll say, let's do an LLC because it's cheaper, it's faster, it's less paperwork than a corporation. But as soon as you say Canadian investors to me, I say we have to do a corporation. Because if you don't create an LLC, what you have done unintentionally is you've doubled your Canadian client's taxable income. So they're going to get taxed twice. And that's not a pleasant phone call to have. So if they're Canadian or foreign investors, I would tell them, you need to go speak to an attorney who understands these kinds of things, because that can run into some issues. And also, again, with the series LLCs, they're a great idea in Nevada and the, I think, 15 states that recognize them. But like I said, California does not. And we made the decision it was not worth the risk. I mean, there are times in life you want to be first. Disneyland, DMV, series LLCs protect you from liability in California. Let somebody from Fresno do that.
It was an attorney joke. You missed it almost, and there it was. Dave, I want to highlight the reason why we brought this up. And so if this is truly a business that you're running, and all of you are independent entrepreneurs that are running a business, if you're making income in it, it makes perfect sense to set it up as a business. A lot of times what I see happen with real estate agents, is that they make a commission check, and before the commission is closed, they've already spent the check. Businesses don't do that. Businesses spend income based on projections and budgets and net operating expenses. And so the nice part about this is that you do it correctly, you're able to set up your LLC as an operating business with reserves, hopefully. It's very important that you get a great attorney to help you do that. I don't recommend doing it on your own. You're trying to save $400 to cause yourself a lifetime of liability, don't do that. I highly recommend you get a bookkeeper and an accountant. A bookkeeper is going to help you for a very nominal fee every single month, I think mine is $325, where she does all of the accounting for everything that happens in my corporate accounts, on anything that comes in. She looks at the best way to project the income, the best way to protect it, to look at costs. And then an accountant that's going to help you properly file your taxes. The nice thing about having a corporation is it leads to corporate bank accounts. And I will tell you that Meadows Bank downstairs, they're the nicest people I've ever talked to in my life. They still smile when you walk into a bank and know you by name. It's like cheers. And so getting all of that set up is nice because it could lead to you doing your own payroll, your own insurance. I mean, you could be set up just like a real business. And so it's been great to have that resource in Dave, and he's someone who could absolutely help you do it. So could they ask you some questions on that if they'd like to? Yep. Any questions on the LLC process? Michael?
Okay, I've taken a bunch of realtors and investors out of Mexico. Like you said, the thing with Canada, does Mexico have, do you know if Mexico has a similar?
I am unaware of a similar restriction, but I would say I'm not an expert on FERPTA. I never thought before I came to the realtors that there'd be so many acronyms that would scare me. FERPTA, RESPA, TILA. So I'm not exactly sure. I know that there's a handful of attorneys and accountants in town that specialize in this. But I do know that the Canada issue is a big issue.
I will say to your point, the Canada issue actually came up on a legal battle that we saw happen. And the tax rate in Canada on average is like 49 to 55%. And so can you imagine being taxed on your income here in the States and then losing half of the income back in your country? You don't want to be the person making recommendations on what they do anyway. What's the core value of a realtor? They're the source of information. And so Dave's right, there are 3 or 4 attorneys we've had at the Board of Realtors that just specialize in FERPTA. And there are a few accountants that just specialize in FERPTA. There are a few title companies that specialize in FERPTA. I would use them as the resource and to say, I'll direct you to them, and it makes perfect sense when you get them involved. So you close.
Do you recommend we put our cars in the name of the LLC?
Ooh.
Decide.
Corporate car.
The
Oh.
question was, should you put your cars in your LLC? I know it's a shorter line at the DMV.
So we're 15 minutes in and I finally get to say it depends. It's going to depend. There are pros and cons to doing that. Liability wise, you know, that would certainly protect you. There's some tax consequences to that depending on if you own versus lease. So I'm going to punt and say, go ahead and speak to your accountant and see if it makes sense from a tax point of view. It also depends on the type of vehicle you have as well.
So what are these trusts and having the umbrella insurance? So in my case, I do have multiple properties. None of them is on LLC. I have a family trust, livable trust, and I took insurance and umbrella insurance up to I think 3 million or 5 million. So is going to protect an normal?
I'm a big fan of umbrella insurance. A trust is not an LLC. There's no legal protection whatsoever. When you put a property into a trust, it's specifically designed to do, this is why I don't get invited to parties. So let's say you die, you avoid probate. It has nothing to do with liability whatsoever. And so, do I think that you have, and I love the umbrella policy, I like that. But because, you know, I'm a lawyer, what happens if you are found liable for a judgment in excess of your insurance policy? Because the home is in a trust and you're not in an LLC, I could potentially slap a judgment lien on your property. And judgment liens, as long as they're renewed every 7 years, never go away. So if that worst case scenario could occur, potentially, because you're not a separate legal entity, it means that all of your individual assets are subject to a judgment.
Could he have his properties in an LLC owned by the trust?
Yes.
Yes.
Even a series, like would you recommend if I didn't have a trust, but into a series of LLC or no?
You have a series trust?
You could, potentially. In that scenario, I'm not a family law expert. In that scenario, I would say you need to speak to the attorney who put together your trust to see if there's not some unintended consequences to doing that. I think you could, I just never ran past that scenario.
On LLC, when the judge finds, they can throw that LLC and still you can be liable, right?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
So let's say we have properly crafted, LLC, and series LLC and everything. But if the case goes in front of the judge, then the judge finds it doesn't matter whether you have LLC.
Are you talking about a real estate issue?
Anything.
No,
LLC,
no,
they can throw that LLC and you're still
The only, it's called piercing the corporate veil is what your question is. This question is, is there a way that a judge could kind of toss aside all those LLCs and still come after you? The answer is yes, but I've only seen it once in 21 years of practice of law. It's called piercing the corporate veil. And it was where company A, B, and C, okay? Company A was found in violation of a court order. Company B and C cut the checks. So if you're using your business account as a personal piggy bank, that's the only way they're going to be able to pierce it and come after you. It's very, very rare. I've only seen it twice. But, so as long as you're keeping your account separate like you're supposed to, you should be fine.
And it's interesting because I asked the question, how could I pierce my corporate veil? My LLC is now a separate person. I've got many personalities, but now I've got 2 people. So I treat it that way, right? When it pays something, I don't just use that card for all of my personal stuff whenever I want to. It has to pay me, and my personal stuff is paid this way. It has to look like you're running your own company books, just like, Nevada Power isn't going to pay my lunch bill, right? I mean, that would pierce their corporate veil if I owned Nevada Power. I wish I owned Nevada Power. Turn up all your bills. But it's the whole point. It's got to be completely separate, and that's the liability risk they talk about all the time in real estate issues.
Yeah, so your scenario, could it possibly happen? Yes, probably less than 99.9% chance of it ever happening, as long as you're not, using your business accounts for, I'm not talking about legitimate tax reasons write-offs. I'm saying you just literally use it as a piggy bank.
And a few $100s is all we're talking about, by the way, as well. I mean, you're setting up this LLC to protect millions. It makes a lot of sense. Last question was Michael, go ahead.
Not that it'd be smart to do this, but if someone has an LLC in another state, can they put it into a Nevada trust, something like a Nevada Asset Protection Trust? Would that apply, or do the jurisdictions wipe it all out?
Generally speaking, well, it really does, and I'm trying to. So, for example, you typically trusts are run based on where you live, based on the laws that are there. So there would be a discussion of whether or not the probate laws in Nevada versus Colorado or in Indianapolis or Indiana, there are pros and cons, and which one is better suited. That would be a scenario. Could you do it? Probably. The question would be to go speak to an accountant attorney and find out if you really would want to and if it would be beneficial.
So last thing I want to mention on any LLCs or trusts, I want to put this out there, and it's going to sound horrible the way I'm going to say it, but I can't say it the other way. I'm in the business of selling real estate, and my goal is to keep my clients for life, and sometimes after they're gone. And the worst thing in the world would be to help a family build wealth in real estate and watch it go on for 20 years, and the person I help pass away, and their estate completely go into disorder into probate, and I lose the real estate client I've had for 20 years and the transaction simply because they didn't have a trust set up. And I have the trust of the family, I have the trust of everyone in that transaction, but as soon as the probate attorney gets involved, they're gonna want to use the people that they use. And the kids are gonna care about getting the assets fixed. So my suggestion is another point of contact for your clients is to find a great attorney that understands how to set up trusts, because you're helping your client through one of the biggest things they won't experience. Is that a good way to put that? One of the biggest things they won't experience, and making sure that they can get their estate set up. So I used to hold seminars years ago with a great attorney, and Dave has done the same thing, where I would have him come in and speak to my clients about how they would go around setting up a trust, which is way more expensive than an LLC.
Yeah. Depending on the situation and the finances of the individuals, you will either, I set up basic trusts, but if you have multiple $1 million in assets, I would refer you out to somebody who specializes. And in a personal note, I had to deal with this myself in the last 6 months. Both my parents passed away, and we had to sell the house. And so I've gone through that scenario, and it is not the easiest process to go through. And I was very grateful that my parents were incredibly detailed. We opened up the safe, we found the file that said wills, trusts, funeral instructions, and it made it a whole lot easier than tracking those documents down, or if they don't exist, and then having to, if they've never done a will or a trust, then you are going to have to go speak to a probate attorney. The probate process in Nevada is not exactly fast, so anything you can do to avoid that is a good idea.
Okay, so we're going to go into real estate transaction issues. We have some questions online, and there's no way I'm going to be able to get to all the questions. So what we'll do is we'll get those questions to Dave. We'll get Dave to post some answers to them. And I apologize, Julie, because I see your question up there. So one of the great resources we have here at the company is the ability that we as a brokerage, when we have a really big issue, have Dave as a resource. And so I want to talk for a second about how that process works and why we have it. We had an issue just this last week where our agent sold a home, did everything correct, the file was closed, both agents were happy, no problems at all. About a week and a half went by, client moves into the property and finds a scorpion issue. Now you guys remember in the transaction we have a pest notice because we're in a desert. Deserts have pests and scorpions are one of those pests. Client had no real issues with it, had never had a problem, filled out their SRPD correctly. All of those things were done. The buyer goes to an attorney who doesn't specialize maybe in real estate or know how we work, and the attorney sends a letter to our client naming the client and our agent and signature, asking for $300,000 in damages, which is almost as much as the property that they bought, because of the scorpion issue that they claim is now a massive infestation with billions of them. That was kind of what went on. Now, I want to put you in the perspective of the seller. You just sold your home, you got your proceeds, and that part of your life to you is now over. And you get this letter from an attorney on big letterhead with a lot of names. It freaks you out. And they're thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh my God, what's going to happen? Am I going to lose are they going to sue me? And if you've ever gone through a lawsuit, the one thing you know is when someone in a transaction threatens to sue you, they've probably never been through a lawsuit. Because anyone that's been sued or sued somebody doesn't throw that word around very easily, except the attorneys. And so the best resource we had was we were able to put the seller with Dave, and Dave reviewed the letter. And tell him a little bit about just kind of the nuances, not the deal, but the nuances of what you found and what you were able to do.
Sure. So SRPD cases are always interesting because it always comes down to what the seller knows. So the first, after they've engaged me, the first thing I have to do is I have to very blunt question. Did you know about scorpions? Did you know? Because if you did, we're going to handle this very, very different than you didn't. I'm like, this is the time you have to be honest. I'm going to be totally blunt with you. I need to know. Because, what you don't want to have happen is a scenario that I read in the RJ about a year or two ago when there was a scorpion infestation. Buyers hire a bug company to come out. And he goes, oh yeah, I've been spraying for scorpions out here for the last year. And here's all the times because they somehow found the same company. And so the seller went from, did disclose it on the SRPD, now is facing the fact that they have the same bug guy and they've got a year's worth of invoices and talking about infestation and things like that. I mean, the key with the SRPD, as you know, is to disclose. If you disclose it, there's no liability. So when I sold my house, I disclosed that the shower head was like dripping a little bit. I mean, my poor real estate agent, because I was so meticulous, I was disclosing everything. I was like, sometimes the dishwasher, you got to jiggle the handle to open it. I wrote that on the SRPD because I was like, I do not want to get sued. And you're laughing, but the whole point of the SRPD is that the seller discloses it. So we always talk about, the seller has a duty to disclose information. And then there's section, it's NRS 113. 1.40, 1.140 actually talks about the buyer's obligation. It's like, hey, the SRPD is not a warranty. It's not designed that. If you've got issues, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, you need to do your due diligence and take care of it. And so in this scenario, you have the home inspection that had the standard language about there are bugs in the desert. If you are worried about bugs, you should hire somebody. So the buyer, through their agent, requested bug inspection. Seller agreed to do it. So our pushback to their demand was, you knew about it. We didn't have any problems. You don't have to disclose an issue that we were unaware of. Your inspector said there might be bug problems. We didn't agree, but we agreed to do the bug inspection and have it checked out. Here's your walkthrough form where you agree that the property is in good condition. If there are issues with bugs after that, it's all on you. And so we'll see what happens. But
you put that on letterhead as well that you got.
Yeah.
Letterhead's scary no matter who it's.
Yeah. I wrote a 4-page letter in response to his 2-page letter. So I don't get paid by the word I write, if you're wondering. But I think so to kind of hit the issue that you all need to know about. With the SRPD, as you know, if you have any knowledge, you got to disclose. There's no lie. The SRPD is very clear. It's between the buyer and the seller. The Nevada Realtors have done a great job in carving the statute to say, the agents are not responsible unless you have, firsthand knowledge, and what that situation would be. So, I mean, the question comes, when do you bring up a potential issue? When do you get the lawyer involved? In this scenario, if you get a letter, if your client gets a demand letter from an attorney and names you as an agent, which is pretty common, you need to walk that right into your broker as soon as possible, because you'll need to figure out. We need to figure out if it's going to be something that I handle, if it's going to be something that we turn over to E&O insurance, and why that's important is there's a time provision in the E&O insurance policy. If you're aware of an issue and you don't timely turn it over, it could be grounds for the E&O insurance to say, we're not going to cover this. You knew about it, you didn't tell us. So So you need to disclose that as soon as possible. And then we figure out how to handle it. You know,
So the reason why they name the agent is we have an insurance policy, right? The consumer doesn't. And so if they name us along with it, there's more money in that for them. My whole point of this is that for a very nominal fee, a seller was able to pay Dave to write a letter that put them at ease. And it would be better to do that now than to be litigating down the road, because you want to clarify your position. And Dave did a good job in this letter of clarifying the legal fact on which the seller's response case would be built on. And that's really important. I know a lot of you think that when brokers get upset at each other, we go into this email war of slander. That's not what happens. I mean, whenever I get another broker or an agent that's disputing something, I go to the contract and I highlight the contract clause, and I don't send a nice little message with it. I just highlight it in yellow and send it back. Because usually when someone reads something that they signed that they didn't pay attention to, you usually don't get any more emails. But when it gets really bad, you don't want to be the one on record going back and forth fighting a case that you can't substantiate the facts on. You want your attorney to do that.
and the hard part is you got to be very mindful of the unauthorized practice of law, because at some point the dispute in your real estate transaction becomes a breach of contract lawsuit. And you have to be careful about how far you can take that. And unfortunately, the case law in the state of Nevada is, the Supreme Court actually came out and said, we intend to this to be a gray area. It's going to be a fact-based scenario. It's going to determine each time it comes through whether or not you're practicing law without a license. So you realtors love bright, shiny rules. Well, if I do this, I'm okay. And if I do this, I'm in trouble. Well, they specifically said, we're not going to give you that answer. So it will depend on the facts. So getting, like in the scenario where the client gets a demand letter from an attorney, you do not want to respond to that.
And I want to point out this happened after close of escrow. Our job ended when the property closed, and now we're archiving a file and providing information. You cannot litigate on behalf of your client. And I get agents all the time that call me up, oh my God, I'm so upset, you won't believe what happened. I know you're upset. I know that you're frustrated with it. I know that your clients called you and the whole thing, but that is not a service you provide under your real estate license. Your only role and responsibility is to filter information from one party to the other party it was requested to go to, and provide them with information that they request. If they want a copy of the file, they should, before you give anyone a copy of a file that isn't the client, there should be some type of subpoena or information that comes from an attorney. But you want to find that out and involve your broker immediately, but don't try to be the hero. It'll only get you into trouble. Any questions for Dave on any legal issues that we can cover in the 2 minutes that we have left? I mean, I'm not talking about a legal dissertation of your current issue, but I mean generic questions, anything at all. Mike?
What delineates the difference between advice and an opinion?
Ooh.
I can't.
It depends.
I can't answer that question in 2 minutes, I'm sorry.
Say it. The way you say it is what I would say, in my opinion.
I would actually say, as a broker, you shouldn't be giving either. An advice or opinion, but you should be giving resources for both, right? That's a big point, because usually they point the finger at the agent and say, well, my agent told me this is what I should do.
Generally speaking, if there's going to be a legal determination of whether or not you gave, professional advice versus an opinion, it is not your state of thought, state of mind that matters. It's the person that's communicating to. If they feel you were giving them professional advice versus an opinion, that's going to be what to determine. So you could in your head say, I'm not giving you advice, this is just my opinion, but if they take it that way, that's usually the standard that's going to be looked at. So I would try to stick with giving them professional real estate advice once you've got the operative documents, and anything else. It's why we recommend, if you're going to give out names for inspectors or lenders, that you give out more than one, so it doesn't look like there's any kind of bias there.
Great. Let's give Dave a round of applause. I just want to say to everyone that's here and everyone at home, Dave is an incredible resource. He does a great job in his legal practice, and so if you guys are looking for someone to refer to your clients, Dave is the guy to do it with. I want to bring up Sherry KK so that she can give away some booze. come after the same
We
meeting.
still have lines. Oh.
Still have lines. I don't think we should call it lines. It doesn't sound right. Lines and booze.
Lines and booze.
I got some lines at my sales meeting the other day. Now I have to talk to my attorney.
Go ahead, go for it.
So, how many you buying, babe? You want 20? All right. Put your name on 20 times, just put your initial. Forever. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Got more.
Oh, my God. You guys, I just have to tell you, the lady that was here for the home, help me. The security system, she donated $20 just on her own. She didn't want to stay for, how much you want back? You'll do 20?
That's what they say.
20?
Wow, gonna be here a while.
But it's for a good cause.
Yeah.
No, that was all.
So that you need okay.
Yeah, I remember the book.
And then you gotta put T.
Anyway,
Low. You know, it's a single syllable, like I remember Bushman or I remember all All right, you guys. So let me just briefly tell you again what all this is about. Oh, what?
So there's like 30 some dollars.
Okay.
The end is,
I'll talk while everybody's filling out lines.
it's before, wait.
This is so wonderful, you guys. Thanks for
No problem. It runs the paper.
It's like ruining my makeup. Okay, so this fundraiser, in case anybody checked in late. Oh, okay. But you gotta sign the lines. Because we're doing this scramble. This is all for breast cancer. Our walk is October 30th. We meet at Lazy Dogs in Summerlin. Red Rock Casino backs this whole thing up. It starts in the big parking lot. It's a big event. The walk is only like 2.5 miles. It's not a big deal. But let me know if you want to go. I will. You're gonna buy some lines? Oh my gosh, you
I
guys.
mean, good. I didn't have the opportunity.
Oh,
I've been sitting here the whole time.
All right, and so we just want to raise as much as we can throughout the year. Now, the next thing we're going to have also, oh wait, let me back up. We're going to do the booze raffle every Tuesday, every office meeting until end of October. This is a very expensive
I believe
dessert
you.
wine, just
Yes.
want everybody to know.
Yes, we'll even bring it to you in a little
I
while.
Googled it to find out. Anyway, and we also have
Ice
the
wine.
bake sale. Yeah. Is that what it's called?
Ice one.
Ice wine, violet.
This is
The bake sale is October 11th. We're going to have sign-up sheets at all the offices. We have one here now. I think Bobby has one at the Summerlin office. And we're going to have one, of course, in Green Valley to sign up for the bake sale October 11th. And we'll do it here before, during, and after our office meeting on October 11th. We're working on another event we haven't finalized yet. Thanks, Lois.
Yeah, she's my personal assistant today.
We got more lines coming in, you guys.
All right.
So great.
John wants one too, so don't forget John.
And then I'm going to actually do the Brandon showed me how to do the,
You downloaded the app.
yeah, so now I can do it, hopefully, we'll see.
Hot dog.
So we got a few more, and then we'll do that. What else can I talk about? Should I talk about military appreciation event?
Sure.
Really quick, while we have your attention. The military appreciation event is, that is October 22nd at Craig's Ranch Regional Park. And it's from 10:30 to 4:30. Signature Real Estate every year, thanks to Brandon, buys a booth.
Yep.
And we welcome you to come and work the booth if you like, to meet military. We give out some swag. You can talk to them about real estate. That's our giving back. It's a beautiful little event. I work for the event itself, and I'm always looking for volunteers. I need food helpers. If you're interested, let me know. But it's a really great event, and again, because Signature, you know, we do that, and we've been doing it now, I think, 7 years in a row.
Since it started.
Pardon me? Since it started, right. I didn't do the first year, but yeah, you did.
Are we done?
Are we done? Everybody signed?
I'm waiting.
Oh my
on that.
gosh.
Your sign.
Oh, you signed, oh, you chose for me, thank you.
What are you giving me first?
They chose. What do you think they should do?
I don't know, I think that could lead to problems, but.
Huh?
110.
110? But wait, they filled up all the empty lines? Oh my God, you guys, so now we gotta increase that to 110.
Working on it now.
You doing odds?
Oh, this is so fabulous. I love you
It
guys.
actually says shake to randomize. Are you ready for this?
One in 110.
Okay.
Shake, Chris.
Okay, shake. Oh, this is.
55, right in the middle.
Chardonnay.
55.
55. Who was it? Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't know I was going to do it all. 55 is Ashley. Ashley.
She says, I don't want to win, I just want.
If she doesn't drink, this is going to be great.
I know. She can leave it here all
We'll save it.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Crown Royal.
Crown Royal.
Crown Royal.
53.
53.
I didn't shake it any different than I should.
Ashley again.
Wow.
But well, you know, she deserves it.
Right, somebody else shake it. I feel like it's my fault. Here, shake.
She's not present.
Shake it up.
There she is.
You won twice.
You won twice.
Yes.
I don't even drink people.
Okay, but we're picking
So
this one.
I think that I'll give it to someone else.
Oh, there you go. You won these.
Okay, what number?
Okay, so, well, and the Crown Royal.
Oh, look at that.
What's the number?
She'll give it to one of us. 27.
27 says PK.
Patty.
Oh.
You won the dessert wine. Oh. This is a really la-di-da thing. I didn't know it until I looked it up. Somebody gave it to me. I donate everything out of my cash. You're welcome. Okay, guys. Wow, that's so good. Thank you so much.